The end of the year test.
My AP testing.
And it's really a high pressure, high stakes position that we're putting these kids in.
People don't realize how young children are when they start to have thoughts of suicide.
Couldn't believe it.
He was burning the candle at both ends.
This generation of kids is facing more pressure than previous generations.
We need to let them know that we are going to be there with them.
Where do you start as a parent?
You can't have an agenda other than safety.
We need to have more oxytocin in our brain. 7, 8. She said, don't let go until they do. This is called human connection.
Let's save these lives.
Thank you for staying with us for this special Kids Under Pressure report. All week, we've been focusing on ways we as parents can help our kids manage the stress in their lives.
It's an issue we are committed to keep discussing, as we have seen the youth suicide rate right here in Utah triple over the last 10 years. Many of our communities have been hit hard by tragedy. So tonight, we head back to Harriman, a community that was in crisis 1 year ago.
This isn't a Harriman High School problem. This is a people problem.
This time last year, the Harriman community sought answers after losing their 8th teenager to suicide in 1 year. Parents greeted students at the school every morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Good morning.
Yeah, let's start.
And students formed new clubs, but the community knew they needed a long-term solution.
And we sat around a board meeting and we looked at ourselves and said, what do we do? What do we do?
Bryce Dunford, president of the Jordan School District Board of Education, knew they couldn't do it alone.
None of us were mental health experts. And a bunch of educators were looking around a table saying, what do we do to help with mental health?
They hired McKinley Withers, a full-time district-wide mental health specialist, to advise the board.
If we're not doing something that we should be doing, you tell us. If we need to spend money on something, you tell us. Let's save these lives.
Withers admits the schools don't have the resources.
We are well equipped to educate, but we aren't well equipped to treat illness.
But he's connecting parents and students to community partners like local doctors and mental health coalitions who do have the answers.
We can foster that connection and get people where they need to go.
The board also hired a new social worker at Harriman High and a psychologist at every elementary school in the district.
The more support we can have at the younger ages, hopefully children are able then to build resiliency, to learn how to problem solve, to know how to get help, what that help looks like.
Principal Todd Kornberg is also a new face at Harriman High.
No, you're a junior. I'm a junior.
I've never had a principal who I feel like cares so much about our student body.
He was determined to help the community heal.
And I'm going to support you in every way that I can to help us move forward.
Mom, Mr. Q just showed up on the field wearing a band's t-shirt. And it was a Saturday afternoon. The weather was crappy.
I absolutely love these kids, as I have for years and years and years.
He supported Harriman's first Be the Change event on campus. It's a day of team-building activities and connection.
Everyone from the star of the football team to the person that just moved in and doesn't know a soul.
Just super fun, high energy.
Students share real feelings and experiences. Junior Evan Hoffheim says the event was a counter to superficial connections online.
Social media, you put out what you want people to see. But in this, you put out what you really are.
Teachers also participated. Troy Jensen said it helped him relate to his students.
We are the first line of defense if they're having problems at home or at school or any other life problems. We have to identify those measures early.
This year was a start for recovery, a start to just reconnect.
The Jordan School District is applying for more funding for additional mental health providers. They hope to hire 8 people before fall.
This week, we met Box Elder lacrosse coach Juan Gatan. He said 2 of his players took their own lives within 6 months, and it spurred a change in tactics for the whole team.
I decided to take action and change to get to know my boys a little better. I think it shows them that someone cares.
The coach opened up to his players about his own struggles and encourages them to share theirs. He frequently makes house visits, takes team members out to lunch to talk openly. The team also meets for dinners, starting the night by sharing embarrassing moments, a way to break the ice.
Well, the end of the school year brings all kinds of stresses to kids. Finals, friends, and for some, fear of changing schools after summer can weigh heavily.
As parents, we want to help, but sometimes our words can add more pressure. Dan Spindle, news specialist, sat down with an expert to learn the do's and don'ts when talking to kids.
How do you advise parents who are saying, boy, I'm frustrated, I'm not sure how to talk to my children about these problems they're having? Where do you start as a parent to speak to your children?
You can't have an agenda other than safety. That's your only agenda. How do I make my child feel safe? How do I give them an experience with emotional safety, meaning that they feel safe to talk?
Is there anything parents should definitely avoid saying or conveying to their children?
Keep trying, because I know you're so capable. You're just kind of not meeting your potential yet, that word potential. Again, that projects so much of your own expectation.
Are there specific words and phrases parents should and should not use?
You got this. Be patient with yourself. You're working hard. I know the kind of person you are. And I think that kind of encouragement, it's not a lecture, it's not moralizing, it's not more instruction. It's, you got it.
Dan Spindle with that interview. Thanks. Coming up, more advice for parents, including a new option to help get your child in front of a psychologist faster and a simple free way to better connect with your kids. Welcome back. One of the biggest frustrations for Utah parents is the struggle to find professional help for their children.
Waits are often months long, but there is a new option that doesn't even require leaving your home. New services are being offered through websites like teencounseling.com. There, parents can help select a licensed therapist for their teen. Then they can have sessions via video, phone, or even text messages.
Teens seem to be a lot more comfortable a lot of the time expressing themselves through text message versus sitting in a room staring at a therapist that they've never met before.
To them, this is second nature. This is totally one of the benefits of all their comfort with social media.
The American Psychiatric Association says video-based telepsychiatry reduces delays in care, emergency room visits, and also lessens the stigma of treatment. In an emergency, though, it is best to contact a suicide crisis line or use the Safe UT app. Well, up next, our favorite advice from the week, how a simple 8-second hug can help detach your child from technology and connect them to you.
Of all the things we learned this week about helping kids handle pressure, one of the easiest is a simple hug.
News specialist Shara Park shows us how research has proven just a few hugs a day can make a big difference in your relationship.
When Carmen Herbert's boys get home from school, how are you guys? The first thing she does is hug them. It was last year this busy mom of 4 boys learned about the 8-second hug 8 times a day. She attended a presentation by Dr. Christy Kane that focused on counteracting technology through human connection.
She said, I want you to turn to the person next to you and give them a hug for 8 seconds. And we counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then the energy in the room after that was amazing. And she said, can you feel this? She said, this is called human connection.
We need to have more oxytocin in our brain. And oxytocin is a bonding chemical. So the longer you hold, the more that you bond.
Dr. Kane has spent years researching the impact of electronic devices on our brains. She says the longer a child is looking at a screen, the more their brain produces dopamine. You know what else produces dopamine? Drugs. Dr. Kane says children often show aggression when they've been exposed to a screen for too long. That's the dopamine built up. That's why it's important to find ways to bring the oxytocin back in.
I have people that will say, Dr. Kane, do you know how long 8 seconds is? And I'm like, really? I'm not even asking for a minute.
We've been happier as a family, and I found that my boys have opened up to me more because they feel safe, that they feel like I'm a safe place for them.
Shara Park, KSL 5 News.
Shara, thank you. What a great tip there. And thank you for staying with us for this special report. You can watch these stories and many more from our Kids Under Pressure series on the KSL TV app.
Have a great and safe Memorial Day weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday.